Is eschatology, is eschatology aligning the Abrahamic faiths against the Christ? Is eschatology the final piece of aligning the Abrahamic faiths against the Christ? That's the question I have for you today. That's the question that I want to look at. That's the question I want to think about. That's the question I want to, if possible, discover. It almost seems like it would be impossible for this to take place. But I want to tell you a story that I've studied at, I've looked at, and I've decided that, you know what? It just might be true. And it's something that bears consideration. It's something that bears consideration, and I would say careful consideration. And it almost seems like it's too fantastical to be true. But I assure you that it is not too fantastical to be true. And that, in fact, it might actually be really totally true. And this is something that we need to look at, be aware of, and take care of. And again, it seems crazy, but what I'm suggesting to you is that, and what I'm presenting to you is what I consider to be compelling proof that historical Judaism and Catholicism, hardcore Roman Catholicism, and even Islam are aligning against the message of the Christ. And it seems crazy, but I want to take a look at this, and I think you're going to be pretty impressed with what we see. Now, this is coming from a website that is entitled redefininggod.com, a resource for the awakening human. I do not make any, I don't recommend this site. I don't say it's a great site, but I say that it has brought together some information here, which is rather compelling. And their statement is that a crypto-Jewish conspiracy that started in a crypt beneath the church of Saint-Denis in 1534 reached its culmination in 2013 with the ascension of first Jesuit Pope Francis to the papacy back in 2013. And you know that I'm talking about a lot because I'm the only one that's talking about it. Well, Jeff, you talk about September 23rd, 2017 is not really true, but you've been talking about it a lot. Yes, you wrote a book about it. Why are you talking about it so much? I'm talking about it so much because everybody's talking about it. Everybody's focused on it. Everybody thinks, oh, is it going to be great? Is something big going to happen? And it is the culmination of a effort that began in the 1500s to not only infiltrate believers in the Christ, to not only bury the true message of the Christ, to repress the true message of the Christ, but to set up the potential end-time false flag that would allow these Abrahamic faiths to ride a false savior into power and control over the entire planet. And you've heard me talk about my firm belief that continues to this day that we are going to be able to stop the false flag, that Yahweh is not going to be able to perpetuate his false flag. And his Jesuit helpers, his Catholic helpers, his Protestant Christian eschatologist helpers are not going to be able to prevent it. It's such an audacious statement for somebody like me not even a pimple on the backside of religiosity. That would be a compliment to call me that. But yet, I know that we are going to stop this final false flag. I know that we're going to get enough information out there to absolutely prevent it from happening. And that's part of this effort. Take it with a grain of salt. Take it with 10 grains of salt. But consider the information, because as crazy as it seems at first blush, it meshes together and creates a narrative that, in my opinion, at least, is compelling. So again, let's talk about what happened. And let's talk about what is happening. And let's talk about what they want to happen. And let's talk about what I and we are not going to allow to happen. So what started in a crypt beneath Saint Denis in 1534? Well, let's take a look. In a crypt beneath Saint Denis in 1534 on August 15th, Ignatius of Loyola gathered with 6 friends, and they started the Society of Jesus. They started the Society of Jesus, which is known as SJ. That'll figure large in our discussion later. So they started the Society of Jesus in 1534 in the basement of this church right here. It wasn't actually the basement. What was it? It was a crypt. It was the crypt in the basement. It was the crypt in the crypt of this church where the dead people were. Dead man's bones. The Christ said, outwardly you look like your whitewashed fences. You look beautiful, but inwardly you're dead man's bones. And this came from a message I got from one of my great subscribers. So I'm deliberately not looking in the chat room now, because it's important that I continue this narrative through in a way that we can understand it. So in 1534, in the crypt of this church, the Jesuit order was born. And the assertion is that Ignatius Loyola himself was actually a Jewish person who only embraced Christianity to protect himself from persecution for Judaism, and in fact created his order, the Jesuits, the Society of Jesus, to protect Jewish people from being persecuted and to infiltrate the entire church and to enter into an alliance, an Abrahamic alliance against the true teachings of the Christ, and to usher in a great final false flag. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? Follow with me, for me, if you will. So there's a group of people in Spanish history, and remember, Loyola was a Spaniard. There was a term called a Marrano. And this isn't anything against Jews. You know what I think? Judaism, Islam, big time Christianity, they're all in the same boat to me. It's part of it's the Trinity, the real Trinity. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. That's the real Trinity. And it's an evil Trinity. So there's a term named, it's called Marrano. And in Spanish history, it's a Jew who converted to the Christian faith. I've been told by some people they don't like to be called a Jew that are Jewish. So I'll say it's a Jewish person who converted to the Christian faith to escape persecution, but covertly continued to practice Judaism. It was a term of abuse and also applies to descendants of Marranos. The origin of the word Marrano is uncertain. And in the late 14th century, remember the time frame here. In the late 14th century, Spanish Jewry, that means all the Jews in Spain, were threatened with extinction at the hands of mobs of fanatical Christians. Thousands of Jews accepted death, but tens of thousands found safety by faking, if you will, a conversion to Christianity. And the number of converts is moderately estimated at 100,000. 100,000 Jewish people converted to Christianity? Do you really believe they sincerely converted to Christianity? When your choice was convert or die, and 100,000 said, okay, we'll convert, is it not at least worth a question to say, did these people really convert? Or were they just saying, we'll be Christian to save their lives? So many were the people that, quote unquote, converted to Christianity, got baptized, but continued to practice their Judaism in secret, that there was a name that was created to describe them, the Marranos. And the Marranos began to grow rich, to rise to positions high in the state and the royal court and the church hierarchy. And they intermarried with the with pure Christians, so to speak. And the hatred directed against them by purebred Christians, if you will, ostensibly because they were being untrue to the converted faith, was in fact directed indiscriminately against all conversos or Jewish converts. Let me say this. That's from the Encyclopedia Britannica. 100,000 people convert to Christianity from Judaism at the edge of a sword. Convert or die. Roman Catholicism, Roman army, convert or die. Out of that 100,000, surely there were some true converts. People that really felt, oh, okay, I will convert to Christianity. Makes sense. I'll do it. Infinitesimally few. But unfortunately, there probably were some people persecuted under this name of Marranos who really did have a sincere conversion. Although in a convert and die scenario, the percentage of real conversions had to be entirely tiny. So you've got a situation where in Spain, the Jews are being told convert or die. Estimates say 100,000 of them decide to convert. You know that that's not 100,000 sincere conversions. Though there may be a small number of sincere, it's convert or die time, so they're converting. Outwardly, ostensibly Christian, inwardly, practically, in reality, still Jews and still practicing Judaism. I guarantee you. So these group of Jews, after already having been massacred and spread to the wind by the political Roman army, were yet again under assault by kings crowned by the surviving religious elements of the Roman army, of the Roman Empire, the Roman Catholic Church. I've talked about how when Constantine made Catholicism, Roman religion, the official religion of the empire, he said, in this sign, go forth, conquer, the sign of the cross. They went and decimated all populations, made them convert. If they didn't convert, they died. The same thing happened in Spain in the 1400s. They were given the same choice, convert or die, the Jewish people specifically. And speaking to this, Alonso de Ojeda, a Dominican friar from Seville, convinced Queen Isabella that there was a bunch of these crypto Jews hiding among the Andalusian conversos during her stay in Seville. So this guy goes and convinces the queen, hey, look, there's a bunch of fake Christians who are really Jews. So guess what? Ferdinand and Isabella ask the Pope and are granted the Spanish Inquisition, which started in 1478, looking for fake Christians who were really Jews. And we have to ask ourselves, the Spanish Inquisition was from 1478 to about 1834. And during that period, the Jesuit order was conceived in a crypt full of dead man's bones. And this document is stating that Ignatius himself was a crypto Jew, a Marrano, a converso. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're saying that the founder of the Jesuit order was, in fact, a person who was Jewish, who converted to Christianity only to protect allow him to be a closet practitioner of Judaism without being killed and that he took it a step further and created a society that would aid other Jewish people in this crypto Judaism with outward Christianity. That is the rather wild assertion. And how does that figure into eschatology? And how does that figure into what we're going into today? And how does that figure into the alignment of the Abrahamic faiths against the Christ? Well, let's keep looking. So, what is the evidence that Loyola himself was a crypto Jew? We have to look to documentation. We can't take anecdotal evidence. So here is some evidence. And remember, we saw SJ, which is the Society of Jesus. That's what Wikipedia says SJ stands for. This is a book, Friends on the Way, Jesuits Encounter Contemporary Judaism. It's from the Society of Jesus. And from windfall to fall, the conversos in the Society of Jesus, which is the Jesuits, this book says it reveals that several studies have found that the Society's founder and its first superior general, Ignatius Loyola, came from a converso family. Loyola himself, Ignatius Loyola, came from a converso family. That's relatively accepted, even within the Society of Jesus. He came from a converso family. Now, that doesn't mean he himself was a converso, but he came from a family that was practicing clandestine Judaism, if you will, while outwardly professing Christianity to enable them to continue to follow the dictates of their Judaism. Getting deep, isn't it? I have to tell you, this makes me rather uncomfortable to talk about it, and that was from Fordham University, pressscholarship.com. The SJ in the names does refer to the Society of Jesus. And now here's another source of information from a review of that book. The book again was Conversos in the Society of Jesus from Fordham University Press. And then CCJR, Christian Jewish Revelations, reviewed the book. And in reviewing the book, they also addressed this, and it was published by Fordham. The book was published by Fordham, which, for what it's worth, is a Jesuit institution. Here's the proof. Fordham University, here's their seal. On their own website, they say that they're Roman Catholic. They're a Jesuit school. So it's rather shocking that the Jesuits themselves do not dispute the fact that Ignatius himself, their founder, came from a converso family. Although they say, even though he came from a converso family, even though he came from a family of ducks, he wasn't a duck. And you know what? Each duck should be able to stand apart and have his duckiness evaluated individually. So how does Ignatius rate on the duckiness scale? What is his ducky index? Let's take a look at it. So the facts we know is that Ignatius is from a converso family. Even the Jesuits admit it. But they say he's not or was not a converso, even though the Society of Jesus, as we see, has consistently heaped enormous praise upon the Jewish faith. And that's okay. We're just trying to establish something here. The Encyclopedia Britannica says this: the hatred directed against the Marranos by the old Christians was because they were suspected of being untrue to their converted faith, which was Christianity, and in fact ended up being indiscriminately applied to even people that had legitimately converted. So like this guy says, let's bring a little common sense to the mix. Let's just use a little down-home wisdom. And I already alluded to this, and I alluded to this in my book, Final Message of the Last Apostle. So, you're a Jew. You're a practitioner of any of the ancient religions. Here come the Roman army. Choo, 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 choo. You know, the Roman Jesuits, or you know, the Roman Catholic, you know, the Roman army. Here they come. And they say to you, congratulations, you've been taken over. Congratulations, you've been taken over. You've been conquered by Rome. And congratulations, you get to be a Christian. And congratulations, you get to make a choice. Convert or die. What's it going to be? This is not a Roman sword, but convert or die. What's it going to be? Your choice. Convert or die. What do you want to do? So that's the real true scenario. That's what's going on. So given that, under the threat of torture and death by the followers of Jesus, who were descendants of the Romans who slaughtered countless number of Jews and scattered them across Judea, Josephus said 1 million died just in the destruction of Jerusalem. How many conversos sincerely converted to Christianity out of a sudden love for the very people that had slaughtered them over the ages, and really decided, you know what, these guys have been killing us for 1,000 years, but you know what, I decided I love the Jesus people that have been killing our people for 1,000 years. We just love them so much. I agree with this fellow who says the answer is few to none. And yeah, like he says, I agree with this too. You can call Jewish people many things, but you can't call them pushovers. When their opportunity came, when their opportunity to convert or die came, oh, that was kind of dramatic. Let me do it on camera. When their opportunity to convert or die came, a lot of them said, you know what? Living sounds a lot better than dying. I'll take A, I'll convert. And this isn't even a Roman short sword. And you got to remember, the Roman short sword was the weapon of mass destruction of its day. It was the most advanced piece of weaponry ever devised up until that time. And it made a Roman soldier nearly invincible when wielded with any skill. And they all had great practice skill. So you weren't getting away from the Roman soldiers. So not only do they convert to save their lives, and not only does Loyola convert to save lives, but remember, he's a soldier. Loyola is a soldier who was wounded in battle. So he's laying up in bed, wounded, can't fight anymore for his people because he was nearly crippled by injuries. So he's a fighter. He's a strategist. He's a military strategist. I don't know this for a fact, but it just came to me in my blink, so I believe it. Somebody check me out, fact check me, and even if not, it's not really a make or break. May have even been a devotee of the teachings of Sun Tzu about how to defeat your enemy, how to infiltrate your enemy. So he's laying there in the bed and he says, you know what? They're going to wipe our people out. I can't fight anymore against them, but what if I fought from within? What if I started a society that ostensibly was the most dedicated and loyal group of all to Christianity, yet what we're doing is allowing ourselves to continue to be Jews, clandestine Jews, and create an opportunity for other Jews to be clandestine Jews and continue to practice their faith, keeping our ancient faith alive. Having a few number of clandestine Jews is better than having no Jews left anymore. Having a few clandestine practitioners of your faith is far better than having no practitioners of your faith left. A few of you clandestine still doing what you do is far better than having none of you do what you do and your entire faith wiped out from the face of the earth. Were these things going on in Loyola's mind? I don't know, Ignatius of Loyola, but let's take a look again at some of the facts. So, this fellow states that converso Jews, virtually none of them would ever embrace a bastardized Roman version of their faith forced upon them by the enemies of their people, that almost all conversions were done for practical purposes, not out of a real alignment of faith. I tend to agree. If you've been killing my people for 1,000 years and you're going to kill me, and where you can see our numbers dwindling, this might be the last, I might swallow hard, say, okay, I'll convert. But you know, come Shabbos, I'm going to be getting my Jew on. And I don't mean to, I'm not trying to be nasty towards anyone, but I'm going to be practicing my Jewish faith. I'm just going to do it secretly. And I mean, this happened all the time. So these conversos, the vast majority of them were not real conversions. And it is terrible that there were probably some real conversions and those people got subjected to things like the Spanish Inquisition. So here's the choice that we have to make. The Jesuits want to tell us that Ignatius, while he did have a Jewish family, his family was one of those minute numbers of good conversos. I guess I can put this knife down. Well, I might need it again. His family is one of the good converts, one of the few that said, oh, you've been killing our people for 1,000 years. But, wait. I've got an epiphany. You're right. I want to be one of you. Do we believe the Jesuit version that says Ignatius's family was a Jewish family, but they converted when they were told to convert or die? They did it they realized the error of their Jewish ways, repented of them, cast aside their historic Jewish identity, embraced a true love of their Savior, Jesus Christ, who'd been killing Jewish people for 1,000 years. Jewish people have been slaughtered in the name of Christ for 1,000 years. And it was with this pure-hearted love of Christ that Ignatius began the Jewish order. That's the Jesuit, you can get those confused. Or did Ignatius' family, when faced with their convert or die, convert for acceptance and gain moment? They told the Christians what they wanted to hear. But secretly, they maintained Jewish identities and practice like virtually all Jewish folks did. So when Ignatius put together the Jewish order, he had on his mind, 1, seek shelter from protection, put an end to the persecution, 2, and do you think that maybe he might have had revenge on his mind? He was wounded fighting against him. You think he might have had some revenge on his mind? What do you think? What do you think? Did Loyola come from the infinitesimally tiny amount of people that said, oh, yeah, you've been slaughtering us for 1,000 years, but we decide that we love you and we want to be one of you? Or did they convert in an effort to stay alive? And did Loyola, with his military mind and skill and his Sun Tzu knowledge, say, okay, I'll convert, but I'll do you one better. Not only will I convert to save me, not only will I convert to save my family, but I'll create a society within the church that will help not only my family, but other Jewish families to be saved and practice clandestine Judaism. And I'll work together with others to create a scenario whereby we can align together against common enemies. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. If you think that politics makes strange bedfellows, you don't know nothing about religion and strange bedfellows. But wait, there's more. There's more. So, which narrative do we find more accurate? So I believe that this fellow that wrote this article has established that the probability of the Jesuit, Jesuit, there's a reason why I keep getting those mixed up, because it's so much the same. Jesuit, Jewish, ooh, Jesuit, Jewish. Both have 6 letters. Just saying. We can safely say, were this a court of law and we were arguing a case, that it is almost beyond doubt that the Jesuit order was started by a crypto Jew. I don't like crypto Jew. That sounds diminutive. Let's say that it was started by a clandestine Jewish practitioner. And Loyola wasn't the only one. Diego James Lainez was also a clandestine Jewish practitioner who went on to take over the order, the Society of Jesus, after Ignatius. So wait a minute. Okay. Remember Joe Pesci and Lethal Weapon? Okay. Not only is Ignatius of Loyola the head dude of the Jesuits, a converso, clandestine Jewish practitioner, his number 2 man, or what do they call him, number 1 in Star Trek? His number 1 is also a converso, clandestine Jewish practitioner. So now we've got to believe that, let's say out of 100,000 people, how many of those were actual real conversions? And then we got to say, what are the odds that out of the real conversions, that 2 people of those infinitesimally small number that were real conversions wound up working together? What's more likely? That almost statistical impossibility, or a couple dudes that said, hey, look, this is bullshit. They're killing us. We got to do something about it. Let's go all espionage against these bastards. I'll leave it up to you to decide. But not just 1, but 2. Wow. Boston College. Robert Alexander Marks, Jesuit scholar. Where did he go to school? Fordham University, Jesuit college. What part does he work for at the college? What does he head? The Institute for Advanced Jesuit Studies. Wow. Who is he? Robert Alexander Marks, Associate Professor and Associate Director of the Institute for Advanced Jesuit Studies. Let me see. Do you think he might be a Jesuit? I don't know. But let's go out on a limb and say he might be a Jesuit. He's an associate director of the Institute for Advanced Jesuit Studies at Boston College, which, guess what, is a Jesuit school. Associate director of Advanced Jesuit Studies. Graduate from Fordham University, a Jesuit college. Now he's the assistant director of Advanced Jesuit Studies at Boston College, which is another Jesuit university. Seems like there's a lot of ducks in this pond. Let's go back to our study. Wow, this is exciting to me. That's why I get so worked up. So he does an interview with the Boston Globe, and they ask him, Professor, why was the Jesuit order so inclusive in its early days? Why was it so good to Jewish people when the church was so bad to Jewish people? And here's what graduate of Jesuit college, associate director of Jesuit studies at a Jesuit college currently says that Ignatius of Loyola, the Basque who founded the Jesuit order in 1539, was joined by men who largely came from Iberia. Iberia was a liberal order for the first 3 decades. Loyola was very open to accept candidates of Jewish ancestry into the order. He was very open. He made sure there was no discrimination among candidates. One of the founding fathers was also a converso. The Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, was substantially influenced by Christians of Jewish ancestry. Okay. They've been killing you for 1,000 years and your family for 1,000 years, killing your people for 1,000 years, killing your people for 1,000 years. I don't know how Captain Kirk got in there, and you start an order with a guy that is a confirmed converso in a region that's dominated by conversos, in a church that hates Jews and is killing them left and right. But strangely enough, your order welcomes the Jews. You welcome the conversos. Nobody else wants them. Everybody else wants to kill them. But you say, oh, come on in. In fact, you even recruit. Does it sound like there's a possibility that he's creating a safe haven for clandestine Jewish worship? It's almost like he was creating a secret society or something. Hey, you know I'm a Jew that converted just not to get killed, and you know I'm still practicing Judaism. You know my number one man right here, he's still practicing Judaism, but we're converted. So we want you to convert and come work with our army. They call themselves the soldiers of Jesus. So we can help others like us convert. What he was doing was ensuring the survival of his faith. It's borderline brilliant. Borderline brilliant. But wait, there's more. So, the order was founded by at least 2 conversos, crypto-Jews, Loyola and his buddy. They flung open the doors for more to follow them. The Jesuits were substantially influenced by the Christians of Jewish ancestry. So did this new order of crypto-Jews escape the attention of other non-members of the Catholic hierarchy? No, they didn't. Some other people are saying, wait a minute, we all hate the Jews and they're welcoming in the Jews. And wasn't their families Jews? We need to check these 2 out. So this is Professor Marks again. There's documented 3 accounts of what they call Loyola's Judophilia, his affinity for Jewish people. And then he was investigated by the Diocese of Alcala and accused of crypto-Judaism because he, Loyola, and his secretary, Juan Alfonso Polanco, was a converso. And then there was Diego Lainez and Nicholas Bobadilla. So now it's not just 2 anymore. Loyola, Polanco, Lainez, and Bobadilla. Now it's 4. So there were old Christian, traditional Christians that were not happy. They suspected Loyola of crypto-Judaism. I like that term much better than whatever they were saying before. And there was at least 1 investigation launched against him. Now Professor Marx writes again. Early Jesuit pro-converso policy. So liberal towards those of Jewish faith was the Jesuit society that they were actually called a synagogue of Jews. Oh, people were not happy with them at all. They were not happy with them at all. Not only were they not happy with them because they were conversos, but they were also not happy with them because they were taking over stuff. The Jesuits were rising very quickly within not only clerical circles, but within the circles of government and commerce. So the Jewish people rising through civil and ecclesiastical institutions, they were doing so well that it created a backlash against the conversos. And the conversos did in fact see the church as a haven from persecution. And that the crypto Jews were infiltrating institutions of the church. Because I mean, this whole passage right here is about how people are upset that the conversos are getting all the good jobs. And you can go to redefininggod.com, how the Kabbalist Jews took over the Roman Catholic Church through the Jesuit order, and read it for yourself. But it's 3:08 in the morning. I'm not going to go through every word. Another common sense break. You're Loyola, okay? You're a crypto Jew. You're a clandestine practitioner of Judaism. It's working good so far because you have allowed yourself to escape persecution. You've allowed your family to escape persecution, and you are allowing a growing number of people to escape persecution. And you have taken great steps to preserve your faith and its progeny into future generations. But folks are getting suspicious. So what do? What do you do? Well, you need to take some actions that will lift you above suspicion and yet will not totally defeat your aim, goal, and purpose. And remember, you're of a military mind. Loyola was a military man. And unfortunately, military people think about personnel in terms of assets. So sometimes when you're a general, you knowingly will sacrifice some units to almost certain death in order to help ensure your long-term victory of the campaign. You're willing to lose some assets in some battles if it will help you win the overall war. Think about that while we go back to this. So, you're doing pretty good. People are starting to get suspicious. So what do? You're being suspected of, and you're being called a synagogue of Jews. Blood purity laws are cropping up. They're checking your progeny to make sure that you're not Jewish before they let you join higher levels of society, including most orders, but not the Jesuits yet. So what do? You got two choices. You either take your marbles and go home, you run away and hide. I guess you got three choices, or you make a new plan. So what Loyola did with his military background was make a new plan. And what he did was this. It was brilliant from a strategic point of view. It was brilliant. So what they did was double down on leading the charge against converso influence in both the order and the wider church. So they made a show of purging themselves of converso Jews. So the Jews were deciding to get rid of Jews. Wasn't a good time to be a guy that Loyola did not like. So they launched the Inquisition of Goa. The Inquisition of Goa is just like it sounds, this far-flung Portuguese province of Goa. They decide they're going to go there and purge conversos. So think about it. We're not going to go to the big dioceses. We're not going to go to the main places, but we're going to go to some backwater outpost named Goa, which was India. Do you really think there was a huge Jesuit or Christian, a huge bunch of converted Jews suspected of not really being converting in India? No, he picked it for a reason. They were assets that had to be sacrificed. So you go and launch an effort against conversos, clandestine Jewish practitioners in India. What was there, 6 or 8 of them? I'm being facetious. There was probably more. So you make it look like, oh, we're cracking down on these Jews. And then we really ratchet up the idea that we are the most rabidly loyal force in the whole Catholic Church. We're the army of the Pope. We're the army of Jesus. We're God's foot soldiers. We start acting really, really loyal so that we can place ourselves above suspicion. We even kill some of our own. We act like the opposite of people that love Jews. We start killing our own. Sometimes you got to sacrifice some of your assets if you want to win the war. It's like if your toe gets gangrene. You don't want to cut your toe off, but you don't want to spread your foot. So chop, that little piggy goes wee, all the way home. Wow. Data. Archbishop of Toledo issues purity of blood law in 1547. Foundation of Jesuits coincided with the increase of purity of blood laws. 1593, Jesuits issue a law that no candidate of Jewish ancestry could enter the society, and that those who were already in and had finished their vows had to leave. Brilliant. Let's get rid of some of our folks in order to save all of our folks. So they not only made their own blood purity laws that were much harsher, that helped put them above suspicion. But here's the brilliant part. We're going to do background checks on everybody. And it was them doing the background checks. It's like having, and I'm putting this in modern terms, it's like having members of the Muslim Brotherhood do background checks on immigrants into the United States from Muslim nations. They were falsifying documents by the truckload or by the cartload, if you will. And Wikipedia weighs in on this and says that the religious and military officers, guilds, and other organizations incorporated in their bylaws clauses demanding cleanliness of blood, i.e. the Jesuits. And upwardly mobile new Christian families had to either contend with their plight or bribe and falsify documents. It was going on to a huge degree. So Loyola saying, look, man, we're going to have to sacrifice some so that all may live. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And Loyola, with this military mind, had no problemo doing it. It's now cliche among Jesuit scholars that Loyola was a closet converso Jesuit. So in 1593, they went from being a synagogue of conversos to being a synagogue of closet conversos. The Jesuits, if you believe the Jesuits, enacted blood laws, faithfully observed it. That resulted in the end of the order's liberal period, and the converso presence within the society went away. Or did Loyola respond to a hostile environment by putting on a show of going to far-flung India to kill a few folks, purging a few folks from his own ranks with money men from outside the church, acting like he's not part of it and still getting, I mean, there's a reason why all those big universities are Jesuit. They've been working and working and working. Which one do you think is more realistic? Not only that, they were so successful, they were able to guide the implementation of the Second Vatican Council. And guess what Vatican II did? Vatican II it's called the turning point in Roman Catholicism. You know what Vatican II did? Vatican II, which was instigated and really made to happen by the Jesuits. Guess what Vatican II did? I don't want you to believe me. Guess what Vatican II did? Vatican II, perhaps the biggest of the changes, came in the church's approach to, you guessed it, Judaism. Before Vatican II, Jews were stigmatized as people who killed Jesus. That changed with Vatican II, and the Catholic Church acknowledged its Jewish roots and the Jews' covenant with God. It had the effect that the sun has when it comes up and interrupts the night, said Rabbi Edward Cohn of New Orleans Temple Sinai. It was no less dramatic than the sun coming up. It provided an entirely new day. It changed everything. That's what you call brilliant. Loyola succeeded in an impossible enterprise of espionage. And then Cardinal Bay, a German Jesuit priest, scholar at the Pontifical Gregorian University, personal confessor of Pope Pius XII, made a cardinal by Pope John XIII. In the 1960s, drafted the Nostra Aetate. Guess what the Nostra Aetate did? It reputed anti-Semitism. Open talks with Abraham Joshua Heschel, a rabbi. Wow. Wow. So now you've got clandestine Judaism linked up with Roman Catholicism. And guess what happened in 2013, folks? A Jesuit pope is elected. So now, for the first time in history, you've got a former priest of a clandestine Jewish order within the Roman Catholic Church promoted to what? Head of the Roman Catholic Church. Pope, what's he call himself? Francis, is the first Jesuit pope we've ever had. But wait, there's more. And I'm getting to the good part. That's not even the good part. So now we got Pope Francis, right? Now we got Pope Francis, Jesuit Pope. Jesuit Pope. Vatican saying it's okay. We should no longer convert the Jews. They're okay on their own. Either the Jesuit narrative is that the order was never crypto-Jewish, and that Converso stopped joining in 1953, or that the Jesuit order was created as an instrument of Jewish infiltration and subversion of the Roman Catholic Church, and it has succeeded and taken over. Which one do you believe? Well, what are the clandestine practitioners of Judaism within the Jesuit order promoting today? With that in mind, what are the clandestine practitioners of Judaism promoting within the world today? Crazy stuff. What are they promoting? Remember, we're talking about aligning the Abrahamic faiths against the Christ. So now they're promoting a Vatican effort to unify the people of the book under Chrislam. Father Thomas Michael, Society of Jesus, about the convergence of two oceans, Catholicism and Islam. keeping in mind that Judaism has really already merged with Catholicism, and the head of the Jesuits is now the head of the Roman Catholic Church. So now what do we want to do? We want to bring in the Muslims. This is their new New World Order. This is their new initiative. 322. So the Jewish Catholic Church is seeking to bring in the Muslims now, and they'll have a three-way against the Christ when they're done with this. So Chrislam is intended to be a UN-centered New World Order. Chrislam wants to install, and here's what they say, they want to install, they haven't said this, I got ahead of myself. Here's my thoughts. Here's where we get to the rising against Christ. Why are the Jews joined up with the Catholics, and why are they trying to join up with the Muslims? Who is the enemy of the Jews, of the traditional Christians, and of the Muslims? Yeah, you say the Christian whistleblower, but more than that, who is it? It's practitioners, people that follow the teachings of the Christ, people that are liberated from all blood religion, people that are liberated from all sacrificial religion, people that are liberated from all controlling fear and guilt-based religions, people that don't want anything to do with Abrahamic religion. We're the true enemies, the common enemy. Remember that? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. We're the enemy, folks. We are the enemy. We're the enemy of Islam. We're the enemy of Judaism. We're the enemy of Christianity. Free-thinking people that want to decide for themselves. We're the enemy. And we're that which binds Judaism, Islam, and Christianity together, Roman Christianity. We are the enemy of the enemy so that they can become friends. They've all three got the same common enemy. And it's only the Christian whistleblower and people of like minds that stand between them and potential world domination. If people like me will just get off the internet and quit riling up people like you, and then you start riling up people, it'd be much easier for them to further their Chrislam agenda. But we won't shut up. We won't go away. So what do they want to do? They want to stir up these weak-minded, sensationalistic individuals with this false eschatological initiative, this false end-time fear-mongering, this false end-time scenario, that brings in the traditional Christians. That brings the traditional Christians in. It makes a stronger coalition against the Christ-centered people, because the Christ said, no, it's all fulfilled. There's not going to be any future tribulation. There's not going to be a future rapture. There's not going to be a future Antichrist. The future persecution, the persecution is already done. The tribulation is already done. It was the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, fighting against us for 1,260 years. That's the position of the Christ and the historical church. But you can't have people teaching that. That's why you invent eschatology. Francisco Ribera, Jesuit priest, and you spread it so you bring in even the weak-minded, fringe, lunatic, Pentecostal, charismatic, fundamentalist, whack jobs. And there's a lot of them into the fold. So now you got Jews, you got Roman Catholics, and you got the Protestants reeled in. And you're working on getting the Muslims reeled in. You've got a strong coalition to go against the people that won't acquiesce to dominating, top-down, hierarchical, bureaucratic, do-it-or-else religiosity. So how do you bring this whole thing together? Well, you bring it together by doing what I've been talking about, what I wrote about in Final Message of the Last Apostle, what I went on coast to coast and talked about to millions of people. The ultimate goal of bringing in a God King under the guise of Jesus Christ, who wasn't even a real person, but the Lord can step into this Jesus persona that he's created, and they can set him up as king of the world, bringing everybody in together. And of course, now we have this idea being pushed by Alex Jones and the rest of the fearmongers that, oh, the Satanists are trying to take over the Vatican. So if Satanists are trying to take over the Vatican, then that puts Pope Francis and the traditional Catholics in the place of good guys. When there are really no good guys, they're all bad guys. So the idea is to set up this false paradigm of the Christian forces of good and the satanic synagogue of Satan is evil, so that this Jesus God King can sweep in, come down from the skies, and be set up to rule. And it's nothing but a Jewish, Jesuit-inspired, Catholic co-conspired, Protestant-aided false flag to keep us gone. The number one rule of a bureaucracy is to protect the bureaucracy. So from the time that Ignatius of Loyola started the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, this end has been in view. We've got to create a society to perpetuate the Jewish faith, and we've got to infiltrate Catholicism to do it. Once we've infiltrated Catholicism, we'll be in power. Eventually, we'll make ourselves head of that thing. Then we'll reach out, having the Jewish and the Catholic link already there. Then we'll start reeling in the Protestants. Why else do you think Pope Francis is sending a video message to Kenneth freaking Copeland? At a conference, saying, "We love you, Kenneth. We want to get together with you. Mwah, mwah, mwah." And Kenneth Copeland gets up on the platform and says, "Oh, yes, we love you, Pope. We want to get together." Mwah, 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 and starts speaking in tongues. It's so glorious. And then they start the brilliant deception of eschatology, which defeats the main message of the Reformation, that the Pope is the Antichrist, and gets people's minds off the teaching of the traditional Christ and the historical church, so this whole thing can sweep in. This whole eschatology and the Pentecostal movement was a Trojan horse rolled into the church and trotted out every Sunday. This is a well-planned, highly orchestrated conspiracy to destroy forever, once and for all, the few of us left that are actually following the teachings of the Christ. That's how important this work is. So I want you to think for a second. Where else would you hear anything remotely like this? No, I'm not one to pat myself on the back. I'm not one that would engage in personal back patting. But there's not many people out there that have the combination of experience, skills, and the lack of intellectual operation to say, you know what, the hell with it. It ain't right, and I'm going to say something about it. There ain't. Who else? Well, he's just trying to pump himself up. Who else? So what am I saying? I need your help. I want your help. I'm asking for your help. Like, subscribe, share. And think about helping a brother out financially. So can you imagine getting this message on television? How about that? Can you imagine having this advertised on Coast to Coast, advertised on Alex Jones, advertised on, this is what I'm talking about. Getting the word out, waking people up. I can't live any more frugally than I am right now. I've divested of everything. Small little monthly amount needed. Everything else gets poured in to doing this due. And I can't do this due without you. We've been here a long time. It's almost 4 o'clock. I will I'll peruse the chat room to see if anybody has anything, but I don't expect you to stay if you don't want to. I'll go back to the beginning and see what we see. All right. How am I going to work this thing? Okay. Well, I don't know if I can even read these things anymore, and it's pretty late, but I don't want to leave anybody hanging. We're talking about hormones in football mainly, it looks like. Okay, yeah, there's not much here. There's a bunch of people online claiming to be Christ or the reincarnation of Christ. Yeah. We did a show on that. Jeff goes on about it because most of the loudmouth traditional religions, one guy has to, well, sleep like 4 hours a day. It's going to take all of our collective energies to stop it. Thank you. One young guy shows up in these chats sometimes. Pay no attention to us, Jeff. Sounds kind of like the original Dungeons and Dragons. I never played that. Tamu and Gina, who should be sleeping right now. It does continue from one stream to another stream, it looks like. But no, I've actually been on here for a while. Tamu and Gina should be in bed. Marana was a Catholic who was originally Jewish. Yep. Converted to practice. Kulanu.org works with Marano. I used to work for Kulanu. I might have some Jewish heritage. Keep it under my hat. No, they don't convert for reals. And many are returning to Judaism today. And that's a person that was for many years of the Jewish faith. I don't say no, she still is. I want to speak for her. We're talking about Tamu and Gina. Nostradamus was one of those. Nostradamus was a Marano, huh? Wow. That I did not know. Conversos. Yeah, I've been using that term, Tamu. Conversos, yep. We force you to convert against your will in order to survive. So how dare you practice a different religion in secret? Exactly. And, recovering souls, that sounds like what the Muslims want people to do. Strangely enough, that's exactly what the Muslim church says. Oh, we'll let you be another religion, but you can only be another religion in your place. You can't build any more churches and you can't make any more converts. And like Tamu says, the ring goes round and round. Jeff, those mountains in the background look a whole lot like Mount Whitney at sunrise. What mountains? The Saudi family are crypto Jews. I don't know anything about that, but if Wing Chun Fever says it, I'm pretty, yeah. Which Saudi family, Wing Chun? Because Wing Chun Fever is like, Master Wong, you come up, you hit my hair, hey, you bring them down, it's over. I love me some Master Wong. Tamu says she's got a knife like that. Awesome. I can't open my knife that fast. Oh, no, this knife, where'd that thing go? This knife is slick as snot on a doorknob, bro. Boop! I love it. And the Romans did crucify elders to show others what would happen. Ooh, wow. My old pastor sends his kids to a Loyola school. Can you believe that stuff? I think people did what they had to do to save their family. I think you're right, Tamu. All we have to do is look at what Christianity did to the Native Americans. Ain't that the truth? Tamu is Rh negative. I didn't know that. Good morning, Jessica. But wait, there's more. No, Bitcoin, I almost bought some, but if Bitcoin's worth 4,000 and I had a bunch of it, how would I sell it? Oh, the 2002 Iraqi intel report reported that the Wahhabis are of Jewish origin. That's interesting. Sleep calls me once again. Good night, Tamu Ingina, who will be on Thursday night. And the Pashtuns of the Taliban are of Jewish origins. Wow. Boy, did I open up a can of worms here. Iraqi intel. The emergence of Wahhabism and historical roots. .pdf. There you go. Is he going to the false flag Holocaust? Well, it's going to be, they're going to attempt to do it, but we're not going to let them do it. Because as this gets out, they can't do it. Orpheus Maximus. Well, if you're bored, bro, I just got 2 words for you. Well, bye. I came late, but I'm correct in assuming the Jesuits are the earthly pyramid head. I don't know, maybe. Lyndon Johnson was a crypto Jew. Huh. Regardless of your father's ethnicity or religion, the facts indicate that both of Lyndon Johnson's great-grandparents on the maternal side were Jewish, and Jewish ancestry is reckoned through the mother, and Lyndon Johnson was undoubtedly a rat bastard who was part of the plot to assassinate JFK. Literally, Johnson was a Jew if his mom was Jew. Yep, Jewish. He did set up the Great Society. General guilt and shame. Why did the Catholics put the hat on their heads? Oh, you mean the little Jewish hat? I wonder. Thank you, Edna. Pope Francis has what amounts to communist views. Many awake people follow Jeff. Thank you. Wing Chun Fever, I'm 100% awake. Like Master Wong. I would probably mention stuff that Jeff isn't aware of. Well, feel free to. Did you send me this, Wing Chun? I think you did send me this, didn't you? I think you started me down this path. The Abrahamic religions are the enemy. I had to remove some spaces, wouldn't fit in the chat limit. Falun Gong in China. They are under attack by the Chinese state. All righty. Some people can't handle the truth. You're right. You can't handle the truth. All right, folks. You know, I don't put a lot of, the protocols of Zion. I mean, that's so, yeah, I don't go there because it doesn't really help you to go there. The Christians who talk about not being deceived have been deceived from the very start. They say don't be deceived while they're preaching Jewish doctrine. Idiots. All right. Well, there we go. I think that's going to do it. I don't know how long we've been on here, but it's a long time. I got to go to bed in 19 minutes. That's when I get my 3.5 hours of core sleep. I'll be frank with you. I didn't want to do this study tonight. I didn't want to bring this up because you're invariably going to make some people mad, probably lose some subscribers. But, every now and then you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, are you here to gain subscribers or are you here to disseminate facts for people to consider? I'm here. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So that means since I'm going to probably lose subscribers over this, I need the rest of you to step up even more. I need your help. I want your help. I'm asking for your help. I appreciate every single one of you. I mean, it's 3:41 in the morning on the East Coast, and here we are. That's amazing. I'm truly humbled by it. And I'm up 19 hours a day. I've never felt better. I've lost about 17 pounds in the last 3 weeks. I've gone to the keto thing. I would probably slap my mother for a carbohydrate right about now, but it's working for me. And I'm trying to get myself healthier, stronger, so I can do more. I'm really thinking about going to the everyman sleep cycle, which would buy me another 2 hours a day. That's another couple videos. I'm serious about this, folks. I'm serious about this. I mean, look at me. I don't look that bad, do I? And besides, I had that reading from Heidi, and she says things are going to blow up. My chart says things are going to blow up here in a positive way. So I need to make hay while the sun shines. I really believe we've got a chance to prevent this final false flag. Jeff, do you really think the Jesuits, the Catholics, the Protestants, the Muslims, billions of people aligned against you, and you think you can stop them? Yeah, I do. Because truth is powerful. And like we said the other day in the chat room, if one can chase 1,000, 3 can chase 10,000, we're pushing 6,400. Somebody do the math on that. How many can 6,400 chase? If 3 chases 10,000, then how many would 10,000 chase? Can somebody do the math on that? If 3 can put 10,000 to flight, how many can 10,000 put to flight? I got to figure out the math on that. Not now, but I'm going to figure out the math on that. 3 to 10K. How many can 10K? Just so we can have some motivation to get to 10,000 followers right quick. The real question is how many can 100,000 followers subscribers put to flight? Because I think we can get there. The real question is how many could 1 million subscribers put to flight? Well, 1,000 to 10,000, that's times 10. So 1 million should be able to put, but it's exponential. You know what? If 33 million is the answer for 10,000, whole truth. 33 million. Ooh, that's pretty good. So if we need to run off. I'm on the keto diet. Yeah. We need to run off about 3 billion. So I got to figure out how many subscribers do we need to run off 3 billion people, to put 3 billion people to flight. How many people do we need to put 3 billion to flight? I'm going to try to figure that out. I don't know if I can, because 3 billion is the Jews, the Catholics, and the Protestants, or the Jews, the Roman Christians, and the Muslims. The Abrahamic faiths. That's who we have to run off. There's about 3 billion of them. So how many of us do we need to be if 3 puts 10,000 to flight? How many do we need to be to run off 3 billion? Wow. Yeah, that just fried what was left of my brain at 3:46 in the morning on the East Coast of the United States. You know, somebody said one man with the divine is a majority. So we need 900,090. That's doable, man. I mean, Grace Vanderwall's got 1 million subscribers. We can do it. Let's do it quick. We need a network of channels with the same core message all working together. Oh, Gnostic, that's a great idea. a network of channels working together. I could provide a platform that would allow people. I could give classes on how to get to where I got. I mean, we're going to be at 10,000 before you know. So if we could teach enough people how to get to 10,000. And I'm looking at this thing that will stream you to 30 different video platforms at once. Stream it. That'll help. I just got to make 30 new channel profiles. Well, that's why I don't sleep much. Sleep is for babies. Woo! I feel all Ric Flair. Woo! 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 Let's do it. I'm ready to rock and roll. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go to sleep. That's all right. I don't have any appointments tomorrow, so I can sleep tomorrow if I absolutely have to. I really do love you guys. I love you, man. Give me a hug. Ah, dudes. Woo! We're going to bring it down. I'm so excited. I've got 118,000 Twitter followers. It's at unindoctrinate. At unindoctrinate. At unindoctrinate. Facebook, Jeff A. Daugherty. And I'll start rolling out those other things, and I'll do that stream it. How much it is, I'm not sure, but I'll do it. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do have love for you guys. I truly, totally do. And not a man love thing for you guys. Not that there's anything wrong with that, as long as I don't have to be the man involved. But I mean, boom. This is a fellowship, and we're going to do it. We're going to roll it. And I think I'm going to do me some Master Wong. I've decided I'm going to do it. I saw your name on there, Gabriel. I remember. I'm the guy that sends out all the books. I'm not going to be able to go to sleep. That's all right. All right, folks. We got to get out of here. Thank you, Gabriel. I appreciate it very much. And I'm not trying to make anybody believe anything. All I'm trying to do is get as much information as possible into people's hands so they can do a power video touching on solid points to get them to your channel. That's a good idea. I still didn't make that Jeff Light video to send to people that can't handle the full thing. So yeah, I'm not trying to convince anybody. I'm trying to give you people. I'm trying to give as many people as much information so they can make their own decisions, because the information is not out there. Do you realize this is the first time in 2,000 years that this information has been disseminated on a public basis? Not since John the Apostle, or maybe somebody that he taught, died, has this information been disseminated in a public forum like this. I mean, I have 2 million minutes of viewership in the last 28 days. We're little, but we're making an impact, bro. We're making an impact, sis. So keep feeling good about us and keep pushing and keep fighting. We're the little engine that could right now. And I think we can, I think we can, I think we can, I think we can. So with that, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower. Crazy as a March hare, probably. But like that great American prophet Waylon Jennings said, I've always been crazy, but it's kept me from going insane. Until later today, when we're back with more, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower, and to you, yes, you, all of you, all y'all. You ever wonder what the plural of y'all was? All y'all. To all y'all that are lovers and seekers of truth and have the guts to come out and be here in public, from the bottom of my little pea-picking heart, I salute you.